Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on December 14th, 2021 at approximately 2:17 p.m. PST. Well, today has been a bit of a shambles. I mentioned the other day that my blood pressure was a little screwy. Well, I've got it balanced. Unfortunately, it kicked the daylights out of my energy levels. So, of course, I'm cutting this one real tight. But I got thinking about it. I've been taking a look at what people are talking about. And I'll tell you, in my opinion, people have got to start thinking. I heard somebody the other day, or more to the point, I saw a post the other day, and, frankly, I'm not really good at the issue of what is, dag it, at what is a problem, or, what is sarcasm and what is not. Okay, which can get me into all sorts of problems on occasion, but here's the thing. What I saw posted was somebody made this brilliant post that they felt that all birds were not real. They were all manufactured. Now, if that person was being honest, was being true about their belief, I have to question just exactly how they come to that. I mean, yes, there are absolutely drones out there. Mankind, governments are making drones. Don't believe it. Now, do understand this is this is a live recording. Meaning, yes, I'm yawning a little here, and that's okay. Okay. But all I do when I get done the recording is I go back, double check that I got the date right, and then turn around and carry on with it. I just post it as is, with all the hiccups, all the mistakes, all of it. I just don't see the point. If I'm going to tell you that I do this straight, if you ever run into me, you'll find I talk the same way. But where it comes to this drone issue, yes, there are absolutely mechanical drones out there. I mean, that's obvious. But, I mean, if you look at the reality behind it, for that many drones to be operating, you'd have to be looking at a staggering amount of problems. But it is really time for people to start thinking very seriously about what they're up to. Because the reality is, and I mentioned this yesterday, I've been here a number of lifetimes, okay, that I can recall. I've documented many of them. If I remember correctly, I think I've documented something in the neighborhood of 18 for this on this planet. And with that in mind, I've returned every time, almost every time, to try and pass on one simple message. Working together, we can make this a better world for almost everybody. There will be those of you that are only in your own mind content when you're making somebody else feel less. Okay, but this neat little sign here, this wooden sign over here, okay, that says "I am worth it." I strongly recommend that you yourself put those four words on your fridge because they are the four most powerful words that I've come across where it comes to rebuilding your own self-esteem, your own sense of self-worth, and helping keep you focused on that. Now, it doesn't matter what language you speak, it doesn't matter what species you are, it doesn't matter what race you are. It all works the same way. The reality is, people have been taught rather emphatically to fear almost everything. Okay, if you think about it, children, you want to see how well children can get along. Take a bunch of children from different nationalities, put them all in the same room. Different handicaps, it doesn't matter. Yes, severe handicaps will cause complications with communication. Not impressed with me right now. But this is why I tell people I am not perfect by any means. My energy levels for the last couple of days have been absolutely tanked. But if you take all these kids and put them together, you'll find that on the whole, they get along. Yes, they'll have squabbles, but they don't gauge between skin color. They don't even seem to pay any attention to it. Skin color, mild. I call them mild handicaps. As long as the child is able to communicate, there are very minimal problems. However, as people are getting older, it's the adults that teach people to fear the different colors, to really play on the different colors of people, to play on the different levels of physical capacity. Okay, this is the thing that's got to stop, and that hatred and that fear of each other has got to be put to a stop. Okay, the long and the short of it, without going into major detail, is it's been proven, like human scientists have proven, that negative energy will negatively affect the growth and prosperity of plants. Okay, well, the thing we have to remember is that Earth itself is a plant. Okay, and it is affected by negative energy. The conflicts between people is affecting the health of the Earth. Net result, we are actually getting, and I cannot prove it. Sorry, I'm not a scientist. I do my best to understand it, but I leave the scientists, the people that are trained in that field, to really work through it. But the tectonic instability, the atmospheric problems that we've been having, and for that matter, the hydrospheric, are amplified because of mankind's argument with each other. Ironically, and I don't know if that's the right word, intriguingly is probably better. With the number of various religions out there, it's many times I've seen it's actually the religious background that causes a lot of the problem. Now, don't get me wrong, regardless of what name you use. Okay, personally, I'm a firm believer in God. Of course, I've got my own reasons for that. But regardless of what you call it, whatever your spiritual guide is, whoever your spiritual icon is, okay, to list a few would be Shiva, Shiva, Krishna, God, Allah, and there are thousands. Well, I think there's thousands, I don't know. But what I do know is all of them seem to say the same thing, pretty much. And that is do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Get along. Okay. Yes, there will be differences. And yes, we should be aware of them. As my father used to put it, if everybody were identical, this would be a very boring planet. Okay, albeit it would be a lot less conflicted. So yes, we do need to recognize differences in people. However, it is time for people to start celebrating the similarities. For instance, let's just take a look at humans on the whole. You got two legs, you got two arms. Regardless of your income, you still get dressed the same way. Okay. People sleep when they're tired. In case you hadn't noticed, I haven't been doing that a lot. Last night was just insane. Went to bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Woke up at 1 o'clock. Woke up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5:30. Right. I think it was 5:30, almost 6. And then this is why I was yawning at the beginning of this. Then I did a little bit of running around, came back and passed out for another hour. Talk about a bad energy level. Hopefully this thing will help. Don't know if it will. Don't know if anything's going to help me right now. What I do know is that it is very much time for us to take a look and really start celebrating the similarities. When people across the board are hungry, they eat, if possible. When you're thirsty, you drink. Many people have their own favorite foods, their own dislikes, but we all have pretty much everybody has a favorite food. People that are down in their luck, quite often they don't get to eat their favorite food. They simply go, I'm hungry, I'll eat what I can get. But the thing that brought that to mind was I was talking to somebody the other day, and this is absolutely the epitome of appalling in my eyes. Okay. Right, and I understand the issue of if you've got employees that are, that are cooking extras so that they can't sell it so they can take it home. That is called theft. Okay, in any decent vocabulary, that is still theft, and I can see where companies would have problems. However, where I have a bigger problem is grocery stores that order a lot of food. They're doing their best to anticipate, and that is a problem to trying to anticipate what they require. But the number of grocery stores that are throwing food out instead of turning it over to the people that are in need. Okay. I mean, it'd be one, I understand not giving it away for free beforehand. Okay, I understand that. But this issue of going, I'm throwing it in the garbage, and no, nobody can have it, it's going to the garbage. To me, this is a major problem. I used to work for a restaurant. Well, I used to work for a country club. And when they had a banquet, the head cook, of course, at a country club, at restaurants, when you're doing a banquet thing, you can't exactly take the food from one night and move it to the next. So they did have to get rid of it. Well, fortunately, in this case, they turned around and they turned to the staff and go, look, we've got this extra food. We cannot use it. Take it home and use it. They wouldn't charge us for it. They just sent it home with us. This is the sort of thing that different store owners really have to take a look at. Okay. If the food is good enough to say is safe enough to sell to your customers, at the end of the day, if you know you've got to get rid of it, turn it over to your staff. Even if your staff are well off or are well paid, which in this world I don't see very often, but even if they're well taken care of, food they don't have to pay for is a bonus. Okay. And I do encourage you to take a look at that aspect. But the reality of it is this: we have to start, if we're going to turn this world around, we are going to have to work together to make this happen. And the way to do that is by reaching out to each other and going, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, we're going to help each other, we're going to make things happen. Now, the hard part from your standpoint is that many people don't do that. You're looking at people have been too caught up, in my eyes, with the idea of how much money do you have? How much stuff do you have? Okay, and this isn't a very practical approach. Way too many people get hurt in the process. Okay, it's time for people to start looking at each other, to start realizing it's literally going to be the cooperative effort of everybody in existence that's going to make this world a more effective place for most people. Now, here's the thing. Okay, there's a lot of roads that you can go down, and it's up to you. I'm not the one to make the laws. I am simply the one that is sitting here going, this is the flaws that I'm seeing, and they may be worth looking at. Okay, now I'm in the process of, and of course today has been a bit of a shambles. You know, on my end, I've got this one massive project, this one massive message that I was asked to pass forward to people. And that is that working together, we can make this a better world for most people. Okay, but it's going to require your assistance. Now, as I mentioned before, I was accused of trying to start a cult by telling people to be nice to each other. And absolutely, I never desired to be on the top of a totem pole. I never desired to be the person that people look to. But the reality of it is this: if being the lead point of telling people be nice to each other is starting a cult, then I'm all for it at this point. Okay, absolutely. Join me on this quest. give me a hand to spread this message to everything you know, every entity. Okay, humans, other species, other races, animals, plants, it doesn't matter because they all work the same way. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever actually passed away. Many of you have died. You've seen the white light. You've seen the light. From all reports, that's what people tend to see. Now, I've been there more often than I care to count, and no, I don't expect you to believe that, and that's okay. But I will tell you this: animals, plants, and people, and every other race go to the same place. That's where you start. Okay. And if they can all get along over there, that's where people negotiate or set up the plans for this lifetime. Okay. Now the thing with that, people talk about it being predestined. Well, only in as much as, and I got this on really good authority. It's not so much predestined as you set a plan, a goal up for yourself. You set up who you're coming in through, what situation you're coming into, and what primary goals you've got and what primary wisdoms you desire to attain this lifetime. Now here's the funny thing. The easiest one to explain, to make that clear, is if you chose to come here and learn the wisdom about living with cancer. That's the directive. But it's your current choices and your current options, the way you behave around things, the way you deal with things, that will determine whether you actually contract cancer or develop cancer. I don't know which term is better. I think they're both pretty functional. Or whether you simply come to deal with people that have cancer. Okay, the same thing applies to every other disease. Maybe you came in here to experience multiple problems with allergies. Maybe you came in to experience problems with epilepsy, aka lack of control. Yeah, that's me. Okay, ended up developing epilepsy at a very young age. Managed to beat it, but I found a way to beat it that I do not recommend. At about 8 or 9, I had a fatal seizure where they literally had to restart my heart. Because of that, the epileptic side kind of collapsed. Okay, I haven't had a seizure in literally decades. Last one, that would have been my last major. Last blackout, per se, from my understanding from my mom and dad, who have both since passed away. My last blackout, I would have been about 16. Okay. Now, the neat part there is you come in, maybe that's what you chose. Maybe you're the one of these people that went, gee, I think I'm going to learn to develop, learn to cope with this funny thing of loss around COVID. Okay, a few years back, it was let's learn how to deal with AIDS. Every generation seems to have their own conflict as far as health goes, but every generation also seems to be doing the same thing, getting more and more cynical towards each other, getting more and more angry towards each other, and for that matter, getting more and more angry towards yourselves, which is where that funny little sign comes in. Yes, you're going to make mistakes. That's what living is a case of making, doing things successfully and doing things ineffectively. Well, I will tell you, at least from practical experience, my making miscalculations have absolutely created some complications in what I was aiming at. But I don't know about you, but I seem to learn more from the mistakes I make than I do from the ones I get right. I mean, it's a great feeling getting it right. Okay, but this is why I say we have to look to work together to make this a better world. Now, here's the thing. Okay, where it comes to now, I've mentioned the fact that I had a stroke a while ago, and I'm not playing that one much at all anymore. The reality is, it has played havoc with my ability to write, which is that's the self-driven goal that I've got, is getting these stories written. Okay, and the Yldrbacian Chronicles is a major deal for me. I wrote the storyline when I was 15, and I've got a few things left to do with it. Okay, but the sequel to The Birth of the Wolfpack is coming out very shortly. So, I mean, from that standpoint, things are coming to light. Okay, but with the one problem that the stroke caused is made it really difficult to type for any length of time. My left hand does not have the coordination or the reaction time anymore, right, which has really slowed down the typing side of things. However, I was talking to somebody the other day and they pointed out that, yeah, they ran into a similar problem. They too are an artist, like not an artist, an author. Okay. And as this individual put it, and I do appreciate the comparison from the individual, so thank you very much. You know who you are. Okay. And it will take time to get things moving. Okay, to rebuild the coordination, to rebuild those nervous pathways. At least I've got the use of my left arm now. Okay. Which I ran into all sorts of problems for a while. But because my energy keeps tapping, the last couple of days I haven't been able to get done what I required. So things have been a little annoying, but hey, what the heck? But I am going to be, well, I've already started doing it. If I hadn't had this problem with the energy levels, I'd have been doing it a lot more effectively. But I'm getting back to writing quite literally as soon as I'm done recording this. I'll go back to writing, go back to editing what I have to, and carry on moving forward. I'm going to end up taking the time, and this is where a big project comes in, where planning comes in handy. Lay out the things that you've got to do. If you've got a story you've been sitting on for a while, and I can say this as an author, if you've got a story you've got said that you wrote the majority of, and people told you it's not good enough, what these people tell you is they don't believe in it. This does not mean that you should stop. Okay, and I strongly encourage you to get back to your writing, get back to your artwork, get back to the creative side of things. It uses a different side of your brain than the logic side. Okay, now the funny part about that is that the logic side is what you listen to the news, to the rhetoric that's being posted on reality shows, on social media. You use the logic side to analyze what's being said, but it's a feeling of what's being said that matters. And it's that feeling side that comes from the right side of your brain. Yeah, that's good. I'm pointing over here. That's my left side. Nobody said it was great. You've got the right side is your creative side. The left side is your logic side. Okay, but it requires a unified mind in order to access both. Where it comes to creative writing, and where it comes to painting, for that matter, or any other of the creative abilities, you've got to be able to feel what you're working with. Now, the storyline that I'm working with, okay, is very involved and covers a lot of different aspects all at the same time. So what I've decided tonight, well, I've decided a lot, but as soon as I get done as soon as I get done with this neat little thing here, yeah. Oh, look at that. This is simply a list. You can't see, I'm not putting it there, because what I do is I simply put a list down. 3 things to start with. Okay, whenever you've got a project, where do we start straightening your life out? And you're the one that's going to have to do it. You're the only one that can be successful for you. You can get all the input, all the input from other people, all the encouragement that you'd like. But you're the one that's going to have to get up and do the work. Okay. And with that in mind, now is the time to start making that happen. And how do you do that? You start right where you are, right this moment. We're all in the same boat. And you start shifting the things around you that are making your life less enjoyable. Take a look at the things you're not content with. Those are the first ones that you start shifting the energy on. Because the reality is, once you shift the energy on the things that you're not happy with, all you're left with is the things you are content with. Okay, that's where things shift gears. Because once you do that, then what you've got is life that you can look at and go, I'm happy, I've got things that are going properly. It's funny, I was told I had this message that was to be passed on, as in explain to people and really encourage you to accept the concept that working together we can make this a better world for most people. But the choice is ours. You have free will. You have freedom of choice. Now, you've got the free will to choose what you will, but you don't have freedom from the consequences of your choices. Okay, that's just the reality of it. You have to take responsibility for your own actions. And this is where that whole issue of being taught about contract law centuries back, contract law, by the way, was literally the issue of if you say you're going to do something, back it up. Right. Put it on paper. Mind you, the putting it on paper came way after the law was. Okay. But if you're going to claim to do, if you're going to say you're going to do something, back it up by doing it. And one of the things I've noticed people really have a problem with, okay, and they leave people in the dark way too often. Bearing in mind, I've been working in the consulting field since I was 10, really, but professionally since I was 23. Okay, I'm now 58, you figure it out. Basically, that boils down to 35 years. But here's the thing when you get into a relationship, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, okay, whether it's common law, whether it's husband and wife, or for that matter, and I don't spend, I've got nothing against against the gay and lesbian community. I've got no problem with it at all. Okay, so lump them all in the same place. If you're in a committed relationship and you've claimed to get married till death do you part, keep one thing in mind. Keep two things in mind. One, that death is the death of the emotional connection, not the physical body. Number two, do not make the mistake of staying together for the children. Yes, the kids do need a viable male role model and a viable female one, but it does not have to be bloodline. I'll tell you from the amount of time I've been doing this with over 80,000 clients under my belt, and about 65% of them have been relationship based. The kids do not win in a situation where the parents have stayed together for the children. Now, on that note, because I keep these to a half hour, I'm going to cut this off, and I will be back again tomorrow, hopefully at a more reasonable functional time. I will be back tomorrow, and until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive,